I made a Shadow Freddy cosplay. Now, this isn't exactly a tutorial because I didn't show off every single little detail, but this still should be helpful to anyone who's looking to make something like this. Now, before we start, I just want to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. It took me 1 year to get to 500, and now all of a sudden, within the span of a month, I got another 500. But yeah, thank you so much, and now I hope you enjoy the video.
So first, before I actually made anything, I drew a concept sketch and my plan out just to help me visualize my idea. I wanted to 3D print the face for accuracy and to help make the head more sturdy. But 3D printed parts are way heavier, so I decided to print only the face. So I bought a Withered Freddy STL file and heavily modified it so that only the face was left. I also added holes where the eyebrows go for something that will be added later. To help reduce weight, I also added larger holes as well. Then I started printing. I printed the face on the thinnest settings possible to help with the weight, while also making sure that it wasn't too delicate. And I also printed the nose, eyebrows, and teeth as separate pieces. The teeth I printed white with 0% infill for the LEDs that I'll be adding later. I wanted to try making the majority of Shadow Freddy out of EVA foam. So I got a Pepakura template of Unwithered Freddy for the rest of the head and the body and started printing it out on regular paper. But then my printer didn't have the proper settings for the template and I couldn't do much about it, so some of the edges got cut off. So I just filled it in by hand. The entire template together, cut it all out, and started tracing it out onto 6mm EVA foam. Which later on I learned that this is too thin to use for an entire body, so I'd recommend using thicker. I cut all of it out with an X-Acto knife, being mindful of which edges should be beveled. This took forever because there was so many pieces. Then I started putting all of the pieces together with contact cement. Remember to use contact cement in a ventilated area and wear a respirator. There were so many pieces, so I just did one section at a time to avoid confusing myself. I glued all of the darts together first before putting the big pieces together. Then some of the shapes were a bit wonky, so I used a heat gun to heat them up and bend them into shape. On the head, I cut out a panel and added a bit of foam underneath. This is so that I can open up the head to access all the fancy stuff inside. This is actually how it works on the animatronics in the movies. And the bottom of the head wasn't quite right and I was having trouble fixing it, so I added some upholstery foam to help shape it better. And to help make it more smooth, I just covered it in leftover fleece. This will get all covered up by the actual fabric, so it didn't need to be neat looking. Since I wanted to light up teeth, I then cut out holes for them and put strip LEDs underneath. Which these actually looked really cool. I then made my own template for one ear and made it out of upholstery foam. I used upholstery foam for this just because it's easier to shape it that way for me. I also made the pelvis out of some squishy foam too to help my mobility in the cosplay be better. And the hands too. Once again, because it's just easier to shape them. Here's more EVA foam. To make sure the arms can actually fit all the way up my arms, I cut out half an oval shape right where the armpit would be. I said armpit. Paying close attention to the model as a reference, I started cutting out the withering as well. I added magnets on the head and inside the hat so it's removable. I put them on the hand to hold the microphone, but this ended up not working. I also made the bow tie, which was pretty simple. It's a butterfly, it's flying. Then I started making the feet. I started by cutting out the soles. Then I needed slip-on shoes to make them wearable. I had these uncomfortable feet from my old Rouse cosplay that I don't even own anymore, so I'm gonna tear out the shoes because yay, recycling! Using the soles, I traced out the feet onto thick upholstery foam. Using an electric knife to make it way easier. Always be responsible and extremely cautious with an X-Acto knife. If you are young, please get an adult to help you. I then started shaping them and adding and cutting away foam, trying my best to make them both the same as each other. Oh, well, that's nice. I can't get it. Then, using E6000, I glued the shoes onto the soles. But I am short, so I put firm EVA foam yoga blocks in between to give me a height boost. Then the bases for everything was done. I made sure to do test fits to make sure everything was good before moving on to fabric finally! For the process of fabrication, I started by covering the piece in plastic wrap. This is so that the duct tape that I put on right after won't get stuck to the base. After it's all covered in tape, cut off the tape along the seam lines. Cutting darts were necessary to make the pattern lay flat. It's a butt. This is the pattern that I used to trace onto fabric, keeping seam allowance in mind. I cut out each piece and sewed together all of the darts and some of the pieces together. I didn't sew together every single piece yet to make it easier to get glued on properly. When gluing it on, I made sure to not glue the edges, so that way I can hand sew the remaining seams together. I had to repeat all of these steps for 20 pieces. I added Velcro to the panel on the back of the head to make it easier to remove without adding much weight to the head. And for the hat and the bow tie, I used this shiny silk fabric that kinda matched how it looks in the game. But this was an absolute pain to sew. The buttons are just foam clay that I sprayed Plasti Dip onto. I then started to add detail to the withering with a Dremel. I did a sloppy job on purpose to make it actually look more naturally worn. And to give them a more slightly shiny look, I sprayed Plasti Dip onto them. I then got to work on the endoskeleton that's visible underneath the arms and the legs. I cut strips out of thicker EVA foam this time and glued them together. I decided to use EVA foam so that way I can still move fine inside the cosplay. To make them look like metal without having to worry about the paint getting ruined as the endo flexes, I sprayed them with gray Plasti Dip, and then this Plasti Dip metalizer stuff that worked great. Using orange and then brown paint, I made them look a bit rusty. This actually came out better than I expected. And here's more fabricating, this time on the limbs. Making sure to cut out the withered spots and then glue the fabric down around it. It's got little wings. It's flying again. Then I smoothed out the nose and the eyebrows and spray painted it shiny black. But then there was a setback. I realized that the feet, were very dense, thus making them rather heavy. I decided that these would be too exhausting to wear around cons and places like that. So here's me completely remaking them from scratch out of EVA foam this time. To give the withering more robotic shine, I applied a little silver paint on it. Then I started weathering each piece. This part was easy. I started by putting on black paint in places sort of randomly, making sure to wipe it when necessary. Using a spray bottle with water mixed with more fabric paint, I sprayed it all around on Freddy. All just to make him look old and dirty. To hold up the limbs and stop them from sliding out of place, I sewed some straps onto buckles. The buckles make it so then I can take the limbs apart for whatever reason. I glued all of these in very well. For the eyes, I made this thing, you guessed it, out of more EVA foam. Painting it with Mozo, is it pronounced Mozo? I don't know. Black paint, which is the darkest paint that you can buy. I 3D printed out the whites and glued them in with the LEDs stuck in them on the back. I had to remake this 3 times to get this right. I wanted to make Freddy's nose honk like the poster in the game. So I got this button you can upload sounds to and put clay on top to mount the nose onto. And thanks to my friend Gravity's help, I made a servo mechanism for the first time. This was something I had zero experience with, so I'm so thankful that I got help with this. When I finished it, I felt like a wizard. This turned out really cool, and I'm definitely gonna try to make more stuff like this in the future. We're close to the end. To make the head wearable, I glued in a hard hat, using a butt ton of glue to make sure it stays in place. And I made a moving jaw. I didn't really show the process of making this part because I have a full tutorial showing how coming soon. My Bonnie cosplay had the issue of my eyes being visible inside the mouth, and it looked super weird when noticed. So on Shadow Freddy, I solved this issue by making an endo face to go in front of my face. It's made of vision mesh with an EVA foam frame, so I can see through it pretty well. Now, this wasn't my own original idea, but I'm not entirely sure who did originally first come up with it. But whoever came up with it, credit to them! For the endo joints, I used these foam balls and made them silver, using more nylon straps to hold them in the arms. And finally, the last thing left on the entire cosplay. I made this microphone out of EVA foam, but for the circular top thing, I used a larger foam ball. As I mentioned before, the magnets that I put in didn't really work, so I just made it so then the fingers actually stay closed around it, thanks to a little bit of thread.
Well, the cosplay's done. Now that was a lot, wasn't it? Yeah, this cosplay took 6 months of work, and the majority of my free time that I had went into working on this. And he is 7'4", which makes him by far the largest thing I've ever made. I'm exhausted, but I'm going to show you guys the reveal now. And all I have left to say is thank you so much for watching till the end of the video, and God bless.